done the mananam for that. So in that mananam of this shloka, we are looking at the questions relating to just inquiring all the teachings that has given. So this is a culmination. So when we look at the Shloka 2.4, all the understanding that has been given in the previous shlokas, how we should put together. Otherwise, we are not trying to do chintanam just on one shloka. And this is common for all Upanishads. Whenever we do mananam, meaning whenever we contemplate, we have to not exclusively do on what that mantra alone is saying. We have to back it up with the other knowledge we have derived, the other wisdom we have derived. Then only it all comes together. So that is why, Vedanta, when we say, it is not exclusively one text. Vedanta is a kind of an aggregate of different texts where the concepts have all been kind of brought together. So there are those pillars on which we can do proper chintanam. If we are just doing, like, sometimes people like to do this, they like to just do one text and they like to think and meditate on one text. So, but there again, that what happens is that knowledge is not backed up with that pramana. We discussed this before. Pramana means the source of knowledge. Okay, so let us just look at these questions together and we can go through. So maybe, okay, if you can project it. Okay, so let us look at this. So this is based on that shloka, that pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam vindate, atmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amrutam. That in every knowing there is that thing, pratibodha viditam. Amrutat, in every knowing there is that recognition of that consciousness. And Atmana Vindate Viryam. At Ātman, that what we realize, that consciousness is the means of strength, ultimate strength, courage, strength. And that consciousness is the knowledge of that consciousness is the means to immortality. So we have to realize that, that realizing that consciousness means we are realizing our immortal nature. Okay, the first one. How can I notice Brahman and has the underlying presence in each modification of the mind and in every perception? So many of you have responded well to this. That so the first way to recognize Brahman is that when you see that in that absence of thoughts, in that in between activities, in between perceptions of sound, sight, or whatever, that gap or that seeming absence of objects is a doorway at the first insight. So this is not like a long meditation you are realizing. In between those things, in between things, you realize that. That is like an insight, a spark. And then in every perception, you start to then do what is called as a vivicya, meaning separation. So in every experience of my life, I have to do this separation. So this one, many people have not properly mentioned that. I think everybody has understood it. But so in experience of my life, what separation am I doing? What is the separation we have to do in order to recognize that? Notice that Brahman has the presence. Anybody? So in every experience of my life, I have to do some kind of a filtering. What is the filtering I have to do?
Separation of subject and object.
One good. One is that. Subject and object. How can we put it other ways?
The perceiver and what is perceived.
It's the same subject object.
Yeah.
Internal and external.
That is also good. Internal, external. Then
Ātma, Anātma.
Ātman, Anātma. So this is the crucial thing.
Nitya.
Nitya, Nitya, Ātman. This is the Viveka. That is the main thing is the discernment. See, this is what Vedanta's fundamental concept is. Atma, Anātma, Viveka, Nitya, Nitya, Viveka. What is permanent is not my objects. I see one object and I see another object. That object is there for a while. I am in one room, I am go to another room. But I am there. I am there in that room. I am there in the other room. So that which is there all the time, that is a permanent. And that is the Nitya. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka. That which is eternal. In my waking state, I am there. In my dreaming state, I am there. But the dream is not there. That waking experiences are also not there. They are coming and going. So this is a greatest part of the practice. Viveka, what is there? What is real? What is real and what is unreal? What is Atma, self, and what is non-self? And as he said, internal meaning not just internal as in a mind thing, internal as in the true abiding presence in everything. So that is the underlying presence we see in everything. So that is one part. How can I shift attention from the nature of experience, the object of thought, to the knowing principle in all experiences? So this, most of you have mentioned that um, whatever is the experience, that is an object, like the perceiver of that. You realize that knowingness is there in everything. There is that I know, or that I am. In every experiences, I am, and that is why that aham vritti is there. So then the idam vritti is there. I thought is there. Because the I thought is there, there is the object thought, this thought, that thought. Without that I thought, that is not possible. So we slowly shift attention to seeing this, that in every experience there is an I thought. In every object I see, there is a subject. How is the pure knowing free from taints of memory and mind, and yet the basis for the mind's labeling of names, forms, and concepts? So this consciousness in itself, it doesn't have any kind of what you call coloring or any kind of a thing. So we did this experiment few times, right? Where I showed you this. So when I see this, the first experience of seeing this, that is pure. There is no thing. There is only seeing happening there. So that is what I said. In that seeing, when there is only seeing, that is a pure state. But then the moment I say this is the pen, this is yellow, then the mind has kicked in. So that labeling of the mind, that pure knowing is free from that memory which labels it. How do I understand the statement that knowingness of consciousness illumines even the unknowing of objects? And this again, we know, like that somebody had that written there, that how the sun, then the sunlight comes, everything is known, even that not knowing of anything, meaning if something is, what do you call, seemingly in a box, that box also is lit up in that light. So that you know that there is a box. So maybe in the box there is something, you don't know, but that box is there, and so inside that box you may think that there may be something. Similarly, that not knowing something, that also is illuminated by consciousness. So this is the thing we will discuss today, the dualities, the dualities of the knowing and unknowing. This is where Kenopanishad is trying to point us to. In other things, the dualities are different. Here, the duality says, if you say you know, if you say you don't know, both are known. In whom, in that consciousness, that knowing principles knows that. That is the point in this. How do I understand the statement okay? How can awareness of the mind's functioning itself become the means to shift back to recognizing pure awareness? So this is the driptrishya prakriya. When I see the object, the eyes see it. Then the knowing of the working of the eyes is illumined by the mind. Now the thought in the mind. Who sees the thought of the mind? So the seer of the thought is different from that seen, right? So that seer of the thought, seer of the mind is not the mind. Meaning in that moment, you can introspect, like I have a thought and I say, oh, I had that thought a moment ago. But that is later. You are bringing that thought back in your memory. So there the mind is introspecting on the mind. But that seeing of the thoughts, seeing of that feelings. So the functioning of the mind is one of the most what do you call guaranteed way to get into that state of observing, that state of consciousness. When you are able to see that when you're happy, I'm having a happy thought. When you're angry with somebody, I have an angry thought. Meaning that the mind is having an angry thought. Today you are having good mood, the consciousness sees that. Today you're having a bad mood. Instead of like getting carried away with that, you just step back and realize, oh, the mind doesn't have a good mood today. See, that is the nature of shifting back to that recognizing that awareness. And there is no problem. There is no moods. There is no ups and downs. You are that Shuddha Chitta, Shuddha, Nitya Shuddha Mukta Buddha there. You are pure, you are free. So that is the pure awareness. Why is the mind's knowing and unknowing considered less purposeful for a seeker of truth? So I think some of you have got it, but I think the fundamental point in this is, see, this is the functioning of the mind. So here, no matter how much I know, it doesn't help me unless I recognize consciousness. So even like not just worldly knowing, even the shastric knowing, meaning the scriptural knowledge also. By just accumulating all the scriptural knowledge doesn't ensure that I have realized consciousness. No? So that if you don't know what the scriptures are pointing to, then it is just a knowing of the mind. So that is not the level through which we have to recognize. The level of knowing we are interested is the pure consciousness. And in this purpose, the Vedantic texts are most helpful. In knowing that knowledge of Vedanta, we are pointed to that consciousness. Other worldly knowledge will not help us in that sense. So Vedantic knowledge is better, right? Closer. Yet just knowledge of Sanskrit or knowledge of Upanishads doesn't ensure that we know that. So that is where, that mind's knowing and unknowing, it may still not bring us to that truth if we don't have that direct aparoksha, that realization. How does realizing the nature of Ātman reveal it as the very source of strength? So this point, as I mentioned, there are 2 points in this. One is Ātman is the helpful thing in our life, that we are able to realize that Ātman has the ultimate refuge of our life. As he mentions there, like people, world, wealth, children, these are not sources of guarantee, because you can never rely on them. You can say that I can rely greater percentage on them, but still they're not ultimately like guaranteed for you. Knowledge of Ātman or realization of truth, that is the source of ultimate strength, because that is the essence of who you are, and that essence will never get lost, it will never die. There is also one more point, how Ātman is the source of strength, or Ātman is that strength itself. And anybody else wants to comment on that? Actually, very few have submitted. Many of you haven't. Anybody else wants to comment on how realizing that Ātman is strength itself, meaning not just in our vyavahara, that Ātman is the source or is the very nature of strength.
Guruji, the Ātman is immortal, so that in itself is whether it's sleeping or like when we are sleeping, we are dreaming, or when we are awake. So it has this strength of that awareness.
Yes, very good. That is good. Anybody else?
Yes, if
Swamiji,
you realize the nature of Ātman, that is immortal and eternal. If you are immortal and eternal, what is there to fear?
No, that is correct. That is from the Vyavaharik point. But has the Ātman itself, how is Ātman itself the strength? Meaning, it is we are true. All of you are saying that point, which is immortal. So it gives you strength into what? To the mind. It gives strength to our belief, our mind, and our ability to handle life. But Ātman itself is the embodiment of strength. By what I mean is that consciousness itself is the strength. How can we, how do we understand this? Shamlaji, you are saying something.
Atyantika dukkha nivrutti, sukha prapti.
That is very good. Yeah. That is a good point. She's saying elimination of all suffering and the realization of supreme happiness. That is
And
so.
no duality. So you don't feel the fear. There is no fear.
Yeah, that is it. That is the main thing. See, the more than fear, see, fear and all is again at the vyavaharik thing. When we say this is the truth, that truth is the strength. See, what is real strength? Strength is that which is the ultimate truth, which is never going to go away, never a means of being negated by anything. Like in other words, I am waking is only as long as I don't go to sleep. So the waking state is real as long as I'm not in sleep, you know. So that there is no reality to that waking state when I've gone to sleep state. Similarly, the sleep state is only real as long as I'm not woken up. So Ātman is the ultimate reality. It is the only reality. And that, as she mentioned, is the only object worth seeking. It is the only happiness. And that is why that point is said together. Ātmana vindate viryam, vidyaya vindate amritam. That knowledge of Ātman leads to what? It leads to that supreme strength because, as she was mentioning, right, that immortal nature. That immortal nature is what? That is the only reality. That mortality is not a reality. See, for our worldly purposes, I'm going to live for whatever years, 60, 80, and I'm going to die. This is a worldly truth. But from the paramarthic truth, from the level of Ātman, there is no such thing as death. So this is the greatest teaching that Bhagavan starts to Arjuna. He thinks you are going to kill these people and that they are going to kill you. That is the biggest source of your misunderstanding. And from there, all problems are coming, he says, So there, that aspect that why Ātman is the source of strength, because it is the reality. It is the only reality. That non-duality we say, right? It is the only reality. Everything else is not real. From that level, from our Vyavaharik level, it is all real. This is real and Ātman is somewhere else. That is an idea only. But from the level of Ātman, that is the only reality, that I am this consciousness, I am this truth. Okay, so today we will discuss that point in the next coming shloka, which we didn't complete last class. So this last shloka, we will just first chant that. Okay. All right. So please, you may repeat after me. Shloka number 5. Iha chedavedidata satyamasti.
Iha
Iha
chedavide
data satyamasti.
satyamasti
न चेदिहा वेदीन् महती विनष्टिः
na
न
chedaha
चेदिहा वेदीन् महती विनष्टिः
mahati snanti
भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः
bhuteshu vichitra dhira
प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति
pretyasmalokadamruta bhavanti.
Okay, so here he's saying that Ihached, if one knows that Brahman, that truth, that Ātman, we can take Ātman, Brahman, whatever. One knows that Brahman in this life or at this moment, here and now. Then there is truth, fulfillment, satyam asti. That truth, once life is full, meaning the reality is known. That is what we were saying, right? That strength. What is strength? Is you realize that purpose, that you have achieved the purpose of life. That truth, that reality is unveiled. But if one doesn't know it, then what happens? There is great destruction. What it means is that one lives in the sense that I am not immortal, I am subject to body, I am subject to birth and death, and lives of again repeated cycles of life. So that destruction, meaning it is that dukkha, that suffering of life, the duality. So that duality is going to persist. So, bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha, the wise having realized the Ātman in all beings, meaning vichitya, vivichya, vichitya, meaning that same, meaning they have done that discernment. Ātma, Anātma, nitya, nitya, satya, asat, viveka they have done. In that they realize that Ātman is a reality. So they realize that, as Bhagavan says, Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitha va na bhuya ajo nitya shashvatoyam shariro nahanyate hanyamane sharire. They are ajaha, amritaha. So they are, nobody was ever born, nobody will ever die. That is the highest truth that they realize. At the level of Atma, at the level of body and mind, the upadhis they are coming and going. So all these upadhis which we identify with, they gave us the sense of that I'm being born, I'm going to die. But that nirupadika tattva, that which is beyond all upadhis, that is that Atma. Pretyasma loka amrita bhavanti. So again here he mentions that they turn away from this life, meaning they wake up to that reality, that supreme truth. And what happens? That is the immortality, meaning attaining, meaning that they realize that immortal nature by itself. They realize. Okay. Okay, now we looked at most of these points in this. I'm just going to read a bit of that points from the Bhashya. So point here is that when I realize the reality of this Atma Tattva, then this life's purpose or this aspect of life, which I mentioned last time, the blessings of life is what? Or blessings of having come to study the Shastras is what? That we have these three things which that Viveka Shloka mentions, right? Manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha samshrayaha. We have the human body. The human body meaning we have the intellect. So this is a blessing. And we have the desire to realize the truth. And we have these teachers and Shastras. So this is a blessing. And if you don't use this, then the purpose of life is being wasted. So in that context, we mentioned this, that everything else in that sense is temporary. And realizing that truth, we realize our own inner perfection and wholeness. So in this point, he mentions, Iha eva ched manusyo adhikritah samartah, the one who is qualified, the one who has that sadhana chatushtaya. So he has done other practices. He has some detachment to world. He has some viveka, discernment. He has some degree of desire to realize the truth. And he has done some practices, whether it is some japa, yoga, or something. That person is Adhikārī. He is qualified to get this. Samartah, san yadi अवेदीत आत्मानं यथोक्त लक्षणम viditavan yathoktena prakareణ. So he is the one who is competent to know this Atma, as it is pointed out in this, as it is pointed out by all these rishis. So it is again, that is why we say these scriptures are the means of knowledge. If I come to some realization, and if the scriptures say that that is not what it is, or scripture's truth is not matching your realization, then you have not realized the ultimate. So there are different degrees of realization people will get, but if that doesn't match what the scriptures and all the rishis have consensus put together in the Upanishad, then it is still not the ultimate truth. Atha tada asti satyam manushya janmani asmin avinasho arthavatva sadbhavo va paramartatava satyam vidyate. So in this birth, if that person realizes that, then that this truth is there, this reality is there, this ultimate reality of myself, of consciousness, and of Bhagavan, has that supreme Lord, which we will now. He's going to talk about the Lord in the coming shlokas of the next chapter, how the Lord has a manifested form. So, so that he says is the fulfillment of one's life. Sadbhava, Paramartha, he has written, he has realized the ultimate truth. Satyam vidyate, that truth, the reality. He knows the reality. So this is what I'm saying. The reality is Ātman, and Ātman is strength. So that is everything else is not matter of strength, because it is not reality. If one who is living here has realized this, so that is what he says. Nachediha jivan ched adhikritah avedit na viditavan tada mahati dhirga ananta vinashtihi vinashanam. That person who doesn't realize that life is wasted, because even if you become successful, even if you gain wealth, even if you have a good family, even if you have wonderful house, job, it is still not going to help you, because you will die, you will go through these cycles of birth and death. Janma jara maranadi. Prabandha vicheda lakshana samsara gatihi, he says. You go through the cycles of samsara. So that is almost like, he's trying to point to us, this moment is a precious moment. This life is a precious life. So the preciousness of our life, if you use it correctly, he's trying to point out. Now, this point, I'm going to just explain a little bit. There is in Vedanta this thing that realization can happen while you are alive. What is the word for this? I have mentioned.
Jivanmukti.
Very good. Jivanmukti. So this is only in Vedanta they mention that you can realize in this life you don't have to die. Of course, upon death also there is a complete freedom called as Videha Mukti. So what happens? What is this Jivanmukti? What is that stage of freedom while living? Freedom while still being embodied in the body. What is this? So there are two ways to categorize that. One is that it is a state of freedom where one continues to appear in the body and mind and see this world as everybody else sees it. But he is seeing not from the level of his own mental habits and forces. So he has attained the first part, which is called as Vasana Kshaya. Meaning he's not driven by the kleshas, he's not driven by his attachments, his aversions, or his pride, his jealousy, or so these factors don't rule him or her. That person who has realized the truth, they are free from the forces of them. But yet to some degree they may seem to act like that. For normal person, he may see like this person is still eating his favorite food, he or she is still avoiding certain places. So there, that aspect is not that he is helplessly caught up in that. That is just a matter of going through the body's motions. But the mind's, what do you call, the habitual force through which it pushes one to do things against one's intentions, that is gone. So that person can at any time choose to even go to places he doesn't like, or he can eat things he doesn't like, or he can do things which is good or holy, but may not be that much to his personal liking. So all that is very easily achieved to that person without any kind of a effort. There is a sense of dispassion, a sense of natural ability to discipline the mind. When he wants, he can discipline the mind to whatever it wants to do, because the force of vasana is not controlling him or her. The next one is called Manonasha. This person has attained the Manonasha. What is Manonasha meaning? Literally, it means the dissolution of mind. So how does a dissolution of mind happen? That person has to function. So what we mean by dissolution of the mind is that person's operating from that space of awareness, not from that space of thought activity. So this is a something to understand. See, everything we do is driven by a thought after thought. There's one thought that will tell us something, another thought that will come, another thought that will come. So our so-called operating system is this mind faculty. So here what is happening, this is where all dualistic appearances happen. So dualism, when we say, so from the first level of dualism, what is dualism at the basic level? Basic level of dualism is what is given in Gita. He says like heat and person experiencing heat and cold, shitoshna, sukha dukkha, labha labha, jaya jaya, profit and losses, victory and defeat. See, these are the worldly dualism we are experiencing. One day I have a good experience, another day a bad experience. So these are, and second level is at the level of mind, sukha dukkha. One day I'm happy, one day I'm, so these are also dualistic kind of things. But the metaphysical or the philosophical dualism is also something that this person overcomes when the mind dissolves. What is the other dualism which is pointed out, which we have to overcome from the philosophical perspective? What is the main aspect of dualism? So when we say dualism, is it just experiences of happiness and sorrow, or heat and cold? Or is there, when we talk about dualism from the spiritual, philosophical, what is dualism?
Is Raga Dvesha, Swamiji?
Raga Dvesha is at the mind level, that is also there.
Nitya,
Atma
Nitya.
Paramatma.
Same Atma in everyone.
Atma Paramatma is a dual.
Atma, more than that, we can say like Jiva Bhagavan. That is one side of dualism. Like I am a devotee, then there is God. So that is one kind of dualism. So the Atma Paramatma is where the Ajnana, Atma is Ajnani. So that can be taken like that. I am a devotee and then there is God. So that is also correct. That is all. One more fundamental thing.
Nitya, Anitya.
No, Nitya is not a dualism. How is that dualism? That is.
I mean, in terms of what is permanent and other one is temporary. So
There it is
Atma,
more. There it is more. When we say Nitya, it is a discernment between dualism and non-dualism. Nitya is almost like non-dualism. Anitya means it is dualistic.
no, I was comparing Nitya from a perspective of Atma as a Nitya and all the sentient and non-sentient kind of thing, right? So where the rest of it does not have, they're all Anitya as such from that perspective.
We'll come back to that, Pradesh. Okay. Anybody else? What other dualism can be possible? Think from the Kenopanishad. Yes.
Myself versus rest of the world, including other beings.
Say again. I lost you in the beginning.
Myself versus rest of the world, including the other beings. Myself versus everything else.
So that is what is that? What categorization can we call that by? So that is fundamental, one of the things. So the biggest dualism is this, subject-object perception. That I am a subject and everything else is an object. See, when I say I and you, even our grammar is designed like that, right? There is what is called as the what do you call, like the first person and the second person or the third person experience. So I am always the first person. I am always the Prathama Purusha. And then there is the Madhyama, Uttama Purusha, all of these people are there. So everything I experience is between me and others, right? Somebody did that to me, I am doing something to somebody. So this is our natural experience of the world. Now, this is where this is coming again from that sense of aviveka without having proper understanding. So a Jivanmukta has lost this. Now from Kenopanishad, there is one more Viveka, one more dualism. Think of from the Kenopanishad perspective. There is one more dualism that Kenopanishad has, especially in the chapter 2, persistently trying to bring us out of at the level of mind.
Unknowing.
Knowing and unknowing. See, knowing and unknowing is a dualism. That is the biggest prakriya method of Kenopanishad. So every Upanishad specializes in one thing. And Kenopanishad's method of rising you out of dualism is to take you out of this knowing and unknowing categories. So when I say I know something and I don't know something, both are dualisms. Just as how a heat and a cold experience is dualism, knowing and unknowing is also a dualism. So all these categories of one thing is lost for meaning it is not lost at the level of working of the mind. The mind might still function, but this person is not caught up in that as the reality. Such a person who has risen out of that is a Jivanmukta. He doesn't have any kinds of dualisms that binds him. So from that perspective, he has completely realized what is Anitya and what is Nitya, and he abides in Nitya all the time. He abides in Ātma. He abides in Satya and not in Asat. So this is a Jivanmukti state where none of the dualisms of the mind, the dualisms function at the level of the mind. That doesn't bind this person anymore. Okay, then the Videha Mukti. What is Videha Mukti? Videha Mukti is that stage realized after life, meaning the person has during that stage of life, in Vedanta especially, there is what is called as a prarabdha karma. The person's previous karma is gone, but this life's karma, prarabdha karma, will continue. So he may still experience some unhappiness, some happiness at the level of body and mind. But in reality, that person is internally freed. So at death, he is completely freed, meaning that his body will not, of course, his body will go into elements, but even his mind, they will not reincarnate. His mind also will dissolve, so-called. His mind also will go into the elements or into whatever subtle elements are there. For other people who is not realized, what will happen? That mind will take rebirth again, meaning that sukshma sharira, the subtle body, that will take rebirth again, or it will go to some other loka, some other worlds. It will go. So that is a normal person. For this person, even that mind that is dissolved, it doesn't have to take rebirth after death. So that is the stages. He realizes Jivanmukti and he's already freed. So in some texts, Shankaracharya, like Aparokshanubhuti and others, he says there is not even the prarabdha karma. That person appears to be there for others. He's freed and he's kind of gone, kind of thing. So that is another perspective on that. Okay, so that is the Videha Mukti and Jivan Mukti. Now, these dualities of life, the person who has transcended, he says this is the main thing. What is it he says? He sees that he is able to do this separation between what is real, unreal, what is truth and what is not truth. And he has had the direct experience of truth. So that is what here Shankaracharya completes and says. And then he says, Vyavritya mama aham bhava lakshanat avidya rupat asmat lokat uparamya. So he is able to discern that all this world is not real, and he is able to step out of that. And so this is what I was saying when Pradesh was saying, right, that Viveka is that it is that means of abiding in that truth, that one truth. What is this one truth? He says, ekatma tattva brahma. So this non-dual truth, which is that nitya, or we say nitya and anitya for the purpose of language, but that is the one reality, that one essence, the Brahman. He's able to turn away from the world, meaning that the world of objects is not the reality that he is taking of it, meaning he will operate in the world for the sake of operating, but that is not the ultimate reality. He has very clear understanding of that. So that Viveka is the means to step out of all dualisms and abide in that Nitya, in that Shuddha, in that Mukta, in that Atma Tattva. And that is what he quotes a shloka. He says, Sayo havai tatparam brahma brahma ved brahmaiva bhavati. So the one who realizes that, he himself becomes that Brahman, meaning the one who realizes that truth, that one Ātman in everyone, that one Ātman has the ultimate reality. That person has realized that supreme truth. His life has the purpose of his life is fulfilled, or the purpose of all his previous lives also is fulfilled in that one life. And that is the stage that we are all aspiring for, that that realization of that supreme truth. Okay, so now with this the second chapter is completed. There is this teachings whereof especially using this methodology of pointing to the known, unknown, and to transcend beyond both known and unknown. This methodology is complete now with this chapter. Now there is a thing that what if somebody thinks that if it is beyond known and unknown, if this thing is not known through our worldly means of knowing. Maybe there is nothing. Maybe this is not, this is just these people have nothing to do on Sunday evening, so they are sitting and talking about all this. Maybe there is really no truth, no reality. How do we infer that? So now he comes with a prakriya, where he's going to tell us a story. So starting from the next chapter, he will tell us a story of the gods and Brahman. So Brahman here is that supreme consciousness or that self manifested as a yaksha or as a being. So to show that it is that which is beyond manifestation can also manifest or is also manifesting. So this was what we say, right? That same nirguna, nirupadika, nirvishesha manifests as saguna, sopadika, savishesha. Meaning that which is beyond attributes, beyond qualities, beyond form, beyond any adjunct, that can also manifest in a form, in an object. So this is a basis on which Indian many mythological stories have been based on. So that is just to bring us, if we didn't get it, if we have if you already got it, like 3-4 of our students who are not there now, so then it's fine. But if you haven't got it, or if you want to ascertain, then we can go ahead with the next 2 chapters. These are very brief things. We will just look through very briefly, because these are don't need that much of chintanam. There are another 3-4 classes. We will go through them. Okay, yeah, any questions, comments people have so far?
Swamiji,
Yes,
knowing and unknowing, so it has relevance only at the level of whatever is anitya or asatya.
Yes. Yeah, so that's a good way to put it. Yeah. So yeah, knowing and unknowing. So in this context, they both are designated, you can say, that asat or the anitya category. Why? Because they are both the object of the mind's knowing, meaning they are the knowing and unknowing are an object to that mind. So here these are not the these are by itself inadequate to point us to that higher reality. And the other point to look at it is this: who knows or who doesn't know? So we will always say, I know or I don't know. Whenever we say that, somebody knows or somebody doesn't know, or I know or that person knows, that person doesn't know. So it is always dependent on that subject. And that subject which we are talking about is, again, here, see, this is the point, many times we say that shift attention from objective focus to subjective knowingness, we say. So here what happens, actually, this is just the first step in the process. Ultimately, both subject and object are a means of duality, because as long as there is an object, there will be a subject. So this correlation is a means of duality. When you transcend both, when you transcend even that subject, then you go into that essence of that subject. So that is what they say too, right? When you say that, who am I? First idea is not to just say, I am this one who knows this, right? That is the initial stage. You realize, but when even that knowing I am drops, when that I know that I know drops, then there is that pure knowingness. That is that pure I amness which even Ramana Maharshi talks about.
That means Brahman also drops.
No. Yeah, I mean, see, the idea is that Brahman is conditioned with body and mind. So that is the Upadhi Brahman. So when we say that when I'm conditioned, so see, I'll put it this way that the first level of knowing, like if I were to take this again, and I know this pen. When I say I know this pen, this knowing is through that mind, So here, this relation between the pen and the mind makes the mind a subject and the pen an object, right? So when you are able to realize that this is the knowing of that mind, that knowing which is beyond this mind's knowing, or the basis of this knowing, that is not dependent on this mind knowing this. That knowingness is not dependent on the mind knowing of the pen for the pure knowing to be there. That pure knowing will be there whether you know the pen or you don't know a pen. Whether you are in sleep also, it will know. That is the knowing. That is the Brahman. That is the consciousness we are pointing to. And so here is where the problem is. The problem is that this is not something which you can describe through language. That is why he said, right? Words cannot talk about it, but yena vagabhyudyate, that which words cannot talk about, but that which illumines the words. So that is why, in the aspect of language, we can only go so far. That knowingness of the subject object is again dualistic. So transcending that is that pure knowing.
So we should transcend Ishvara and Maya also. Even that is a pointer in that case.
But Ishvara is a thought right now, right? For us, Ishvara, Maya, all this is a thought in our mind. So we don't know about it. So we don't have to like climb out somewhere. It is all this. These are thoughts we have taken support of. That's all. So that knowingness is again, I think you are getting it. You are just asking me questions. The knowingness is that knowing principle which is not subject to a description of a concept. This is it, that is it. So, but yet the concepts are told so that we can negate all concepts. See, these concepts of Vedanta are in such a way that we negate these concepts. So this Ishvara, Maya, these are all concepts to help us to point to something beyond that. But these are useful concepts again, otherwise we will not be able to understand this structures and all that, right? We will stay limited in that structure. So these become like a sublime pointers. When the mind goes to that level of that pointer, then it realizes that state which is even beyond that Maya and all that. Okay, anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Guruji, I had a question.
Yes,
You mentioned about Jivanmukti and Videhamukti. So
yes.
the person who is realized when he is alive,
Yes.
so he does not take rebirth again. Then.
He doesn't take rebirth again, at least not from the force of karma. He does, like, see, all of us have to take rebirth. So generally, from a Vedantic perspective, that person is one with Brahman after that. He is like just like how, everything in nature is that one consciousness he has become. He's not different from Bhagavan from that point. But however, from the sense of our understandings, it is mentioned that if that person in that specific kind of a like a subtle body wants to come back, he can, but by his own choice for the welfare of the beings. So that is what we say when we talk about great people, like, and especially like, we talk about avatars of Bhagavan. So these are all like that. Bhagavan by himself is always Jivanmukta, but he comes back. And many highly evolved people we talk about like that, like we say, Shankaracharya, or we talk about, many Mahatmas we talk about like that. So what is the difference for us? The difference is this, we don't have a choice. Our force of karma is so strong that it will pull us back. Come back to that.
So does that mean that for normal people it is going to be Mukti, but for Mahatmas or avatars it will be Jivan?
No. See, the Videha Mukti is possible only if you have realized the truth. So very few people, most people, they will have first Jivan Mukti and then Videha Mukti. Meaning that while they are in the body, they are already freed. But because there is that this life's prarabdha karma, the body will continue until that whatever years is left accordingly karmically to the body, and then you will get Vidya Mukti. And there are very few people who at the point of death in life, they will attain directly the Jivan Mukta, Vidya Mukta. Meaning at the point of dying, they will attain both together. So there is no such thing like we will get Vidya Mukti. We are not Muktis at all this. For most of us, we are going back in circles. But if we have the knowledge, there is possibility that what happens is that there is a greater degree of choice on where and how we will be reborn. So if you've done a lot of upasanas, then you go to higher lokas, meaning if you've done a lot of practices, pujas and all that, you will go to higher evolved lokas where you can stay and you can gain more merits. Not merits, you will enjoy that benefits of the practices, especially if you have done a lot of like good works, philanthropy and all that. So you will go to higher lokas. But the mukti as such, in Vedanta, the mukti has to be earned through this life only. That is why he says, in this very life is a very precious opportunity. So even the Swarga and all are not that conducive for gaining that knowledge. Here, where in this life, so most of us, there is a saying that sometimes people get, like in Dvaita Sampradaya, you will get Salokya Mukti, Sayujya Mukti, meaning you will attain the land of Lord and all that. But that is still not the ultimate mukti. Yeah. So it is sometimes we say, like when somebody dies, we say, may they attain Sadhya Mukti. So that is more like out of a well-wishing thing. So there is really that mukti is only upon realization of the supreme truth. Yeah. Okay, we will leave it at this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Narayana. Thank you.